about this new D&D stream called Dark Dominion. You can't be watching this stream. What they're doing should not be allowed. Don't watch it. Tell all of your friends not to watch this stream.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, MBs and comrades of all ages. I'm, of course, your host, Archlich Brill, and today I am here to bring you a very interesting and odd campaign, one full of mystery, drama, and horror. But before we get into any of that, I want to say, first of all, Happy Pride. I just wanted to say that because I can, because I have the ability to, and we're here. I am with many famous and lovely D&D players, TikTokers about, and my roommate, so that's exciting. And I am going to be presenting to you a campaign that I've made a labor of love, that being a Ravenloft campaign. But we should probably meet the people who are going to be playing in this campaign. And first and foremost, I am going to throw it to the player, to my... In the void space, I'm going to throw it to Scxrlet. Scxrlet, it is good to see you. Who are you? What do you do? Tell us about yourself for us.
Hi, I'm Scxrlet. I'm a D&D creator on Twitch and more recently TikTok. I stream. I'm a DM, a forever DM, so I'm really excited to be a player. And I actually run a weekly campaign on my Twitch channel every Sunday. And yeah, I'm just really happy to be a player and be with all these amazing creators.
Woot, woot, jumping to someone who's probably a little bit more known to be behind the bar, but I'm still very excited to see him. Cointrick, how are you today? Tell us about yourself.
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Guys, my name is Nico. I go by Cointrick pretty much everywhere online. I have live streamed D&D before, but if you've seen me, you've probably seen me behind the bar on TikTok.
Yes, making incredible drinks that I wish to drink. Next, of course, known for his more elaborate cosplays and very showing but incredible warlock TikToks, we have Eldritch Author. How are you today?
Doing all right. I'm Eldritch Author. I'm a cosplayer and storyteller on TikTok. You could also find me on Twitch. And I'm the creator and actor of Hugh Percival Lockcross, Dark Ring Master of the Dark Carnival. I know it's redundant. Fuck you, fight me. And hello to all my beautiful Darklings out there. I love your faces. Y'all showed up, and I'm excited to play.
I'm excited to have you, and hello to all the many Darklings. We are going to move now over to a person who probably needs no introduction, at least probably an introduction that involves Wisconsin. We are talking about Maisie. Maisie Lynn, how are you today?
I am living. I'm happy. I'm just so over the moon to be here. I can't even believe I'm here right now. Hi, what is up? I'm Maisie Lynn, both the person who probably made you wonder if you're into the Mothman and the person who came up with the accursed word Wiscussi, which I'm happy about. I'm also the DM of the No Crits Given podcast, and just up to a bunch of general cursed hijinks on the internet. So, hello.
Wonderful, wonderful. And next, of course, we have Hythrall, the Sith Lord, some would dare say. I would argue, probably. How are you today?
I am fantastic, thank you. How are you?
I'm shaking a lot, but I'm good. It's fine. I'm pretty sure it'll suss out. What do you do, Hythrall? Tell us about. Are you on TikTok as well with the rest of these crazy people?
Again, as our wonderful DM said, happy Pride Month. But yes, I do Saber content on TikTok. I teach that, have been for quite some time. I also do D&D shenanigans there. I unreliably post on YouTube. If you're ever into a kink of not having a reliable YouTube person, I do Instagram stuff and just all around like unreliable posting on whatever I want to. So don't come to me for one type of content.
And finally, the most important man of the hour, of course. Speaking of kinks, my old roommate, who I am dragged into the public spotlight against his will. I'm just so happy to see him. Alaric, who the fuck are you?
Hi, I'm mostly nobody, but I show up occasionally on DumpStat. You'll maybe see me a couple times on there.
You shut your whore mouth, you beautiful man.
I have heard your voice more than I have seen your face.
Exactly.
Yes, and
that's
that is how he
this
would
is
like
just
it.
scales.
So for all of you who do not know, Alaric was the man who originally got me into D&D, and this is me paying it forward. He got me into D&D, and like a terrible Frankenstein's monster, I ran amok and then came back and said, "You're coming with me," and I dragged him into this campaign, and I'm happy to see him here amongst other TikTokers. Alaric, do you have a TikTok?
I do not.
Everyone
should
peer
get that
pressure
happen.
him.
How dare you?
TikTok,
Someone unbelievable.
How dare you? Now,
Give up your data.
Of course, we are here for another reason as well, the Ravenloft campaign, but that could not be possible without our fantastic sponsors. Our first sponsor of the evening is 2C Gaming. 2C Gaming specializes in diversifying content to bring some wild prestige tier and high-level play content with epic legacy books, outfitted with amazing art and guides. If some of the highest quality 5e written content available, and with a new Kickstarter in the works, you'll want to head over to this. You'll want to head over to store.2cgaming.com to sign up for their newsletter to get coupons and updates for what is to come. Thank you, 2C Gaming, for sponsoring this event. But we have yet another sponsor. Our second sponsor for the evening is Eldritch Foundry. Foundry's miniature maker features a ton of options to make your character look exactly the way you want. They also use high-quality resin and resin printers, so you are getting a miniature that looks like your character and not something that looks like it was printed from a shredder. Better yet, Eldritch Foundry's miniatures are super affordable with STL bundles and prices that will make outfitting your table extremely reasonable. So go take a look and build your character today to see why it's our choice for miniatures. Woo! Fantastic. Thank you, Eldritch Foundry. We are happy to have both of you sponsor this lovely event. And, of course, we are now getting into the actual session. Now, for all of you who don't know, we are about to be journeying into Ravenloft. Ravenloft is normally a horror setting, one of terrible, terrible bad guys and no good things. And here with the Dark Dominion, I intend to make sure that those terrible, dark, scary things are about to hurt your favorite TikTokers. So you're welcome, Internet. I do this for you. With that, we are going to jump into our campaign. And the story begins, like most stories do, with a multitude of people being bored out of their mind. Sadly enough, it's a very quiet night in the Dalelands. One that is kind of an easy summer evening, where farmers can go home, relax after a hard day of work, and just look over the pastures and see that they are in a pretty good, peaceful area. One that has the king's peace, and one that is normally unbothered by things like adventurers or, thrill seekers and the like. Unfortunately, though, that is about to change, as there is a multitude of strange and, we'll say, probably elven-looking characters sit around a table waiting, looking at a barn through a very, we'll say, not too perfect steakhouse, made out of a bush, no less. Now, these characters are here for a very important reason. They are looking for a terrible killer that's been running amok in the grand city of Waterdeep on the Sword Coast. This serial killer, known as the Masked Mage, has been going through noble families, taking out very important leaders of the community, and has been known to be stealing magic items. Eventually, the nobility of Waterdeep had to step in and say, we need to make sure that our family isn't getting murdered. So what is the solution? To pay cutthroats. No, to make sure that this dangerous and terrible man known as the Masked Mage is brought to justice. And the reward for said justice is going to be a wish spell. These characters right now are looking at a barn that is believed to be the last known spot of the Masked Mage. Now, these are strangers to one another, as they've been put into this situation kind of through happenstance. Each one of them has a separate contact who has brought them to this place in the Dalelands. And looking about 100 feet away at this barn as night falls in the pastoral and peaceful location of the Dalelands, they are just waiting to see if the Masked Mage shows up and waiting to see if their intel is correct, as well as if they can survive an entire night quietly sitting around looking at a barn and not murdering each other. That is always a difficulty when you're stuck. So, first and foremost, probably the most, we'll say, jumpy of the bunch is going to be a little kobold who is going to be waiting there in this little bush safe house. One that is, I should say, poorly made and has been kind of delivered to you as this little collapsible box that all of you are kind of peering out of. It is a little silly on just the offset. If someone was to just look over and see a bunch of people peering out of the bushes, it is a little silly. But luckily for you, no one's around, and it seems as though you are 2 hours into a waiting game that could be much longer. So, our little kobold played by Cleric, who are you and what are you doing as you wait for the Masked Mage?
All right. So Kripyik is a maybe 2.5 foot, 3 foot at most tall lizardy person. The scales are generally a like grayish blue color with some more greenish patches around the face, hands, and along the tail. He's very ramshackle bits of armor that probably don't actually do much, if anything. It's just what is armor.
And in true kobold fashion, he died halfway through explaining what his character was. The first death of Ravenloft. The first death of Ravenloft
F in the chat
has been made.
What?
Oh, that's so brutal.
More on that later.
Did he just die of
Well, I just back to you, Dave. We're moving on. He'll be back eventually. Of course, it's my roommate. We're going to push forward. We are going to look over as the kobold freezes in time, looking forward. Perhaps he will return, perhaps he will not. He's probably just T-posing somewhere. We're going to jump over.
He's waiting to render. It's just buffering. Like IRL.
It's
The
just
character
buffering.
creator is still happening.
It's fine. We're going to jump over to a much more oddity of the bunch. Orban, why don't you tell us about your character and what they would be doing as they wait for the mysterious Masked Mage?
Thoroban stands at about 5'8", human in appearance, shaved head, and magnificent mustache, if I do say so myself. And he appears to be dressed in black funerary colors, gloves, but very clearly equipped for travel. He has this soft glow in his emerald green eyes, and there's a very warm atmosphere about him as he is sitting at a table and reading a small little book of folklore from the surrounding area, from like very local folklore, just learning, like wanting to learn more about what the other peoples around him, what their culture is like. And
Right.
he's just very enjoying, like you can see a little smile on his face as he's reading these different local mythos.
Ah, fantastic.
And you will notice that he has a sword, a black sword at his side, which definitely contradicts the warm, welcoming nature that he gives off.
Jumping off of this more learned individual, we are going to twist and move over to one of a more devout variety. Maisie, please tell us about your character and what they would be doing as they are waiting.
So, Nadine, as the camera pans over, you see a half-elf cleric, who, despite looking to be in her like mid to late 20s, carries the exhaustion of someone significantly older. Every movement, everything about her just seems to be exhausted. And while she would look like a safe place, a safe, comfortable, gentle character, the one thing that stands out is her brightly colored eyes that add to that little bit of uncanny valley. Chances are she is sitting and probably just staring off into the distance and looking as if even just watching paint dry is exhausting. So chances are she might just be like looking around or just like staring into space, and basically like when a cat just stares at the wall and you don't know, like, are you seeing something or are you just using those? Or are you just doing
Is it a ghost?
thing? Is it a ghost or is it just dissociation? You'll never know. And so that's how she's probably just chilling and just kind of like.
Okay, fantastic. Well, by the way, before we continue, is our kobold alive? Are you alive, sir?
I think I am.
He's risen. Right. He's risen. He's back.
If you need to die again,
Crazy.
Just do it in a more dramatic fashion, if you don't mind.
We are going to jump
over. We are going to jump over now to Snow. Snow, how are you spending this time as you wait for the masked mage, this mysterious character that you are supposed to apprehend for the nobility of Waterdeep? And they are not here yet, clearly, as everybody seems to be waiting.
Snow is standing by the window, staring very, very purposefully at the barn without a glimpse of boredom or miscontent. She has a very serious expression. Her figure is feminine. She has long white hair, pointed, kind of scraggly gray hat and cloak, and antlers coming out of her hat covered in holly berries, and little pointed elf ears poking out of her hair. And she's leaning on a beautifully carved walking stick and just gently puffing at a carved smoking pipe. But her eyes are intensely fixated on the barn. But once in a while, she'll glance back at the party and her expression will soften and she will start to gauge the rest of their expressions, trying to see if any of them need a break, if they're tired. She knows that the younger races need a little bit more sleep and shows a bit of empathy and concern for the state of their being before turning back and taking her vigil, which seems to not faze her in any way, almost as if she has experienced such watches before.
Okay, fantastic. By the way, younger races when compared to elves is everybody. We are going to move over to Hythrall. Hythrall, what is your character and what are they doing at this time of waiting?
Adara is a cleric, but very noticeably is the large rifle strung across her back. She's kneeling down looking through the slit in the bush, the very comical bush. But in one hand, she's absent-mindedly drawing her finger over a well-worn path over her holy symbol, muttering something, her other hand resting very comfortably and sharp upon the handle of a pistol. You can tell by her posture that she obviously has soldier training in her background, but you hear as she mutters, "My God, are they very good at hiding? I'll give them that." As she continues to watch short red cropped hair pulled back in a very orderly fashion, again, very militaristic, her coat showing her faith as well as she waits patiently with everybody else, wondering why we haven't spread around the barn and used tactics to infiltrate.
Ah, well, with that ponderance, we move yet again to probably another person who is known for a ponder. Alden, what are you up to? What are you up to, buddy? Tell us about yourself.
Is it so? I'm wondering if I've misunderstood the setting. Is it that we're setting ourselves up before we've actually met each other, or has the party already come together?
So you guys have had a very uncomfortable kind of gathering where you have yet to actually kind of have any meaningful conversation with either any of these people. Frankly, you have been gathered through intel and information. You know about a safe house, you know about a last location, and you all quietly have entered into this locale, not really speaking to one another just because, well, we're all just kind of more focused on said barn. And again, there's a selfishness nature to it. With the wish spell on the line, there is this weird moment of, well, there's only one wish spell. And it doesn't sound like it will be given to everybody. So there is a very weird and awkward situation as all of you have entered as friendly competitors, in a way, to this little steakhouse. However, all of you seem to be unwaveringly polite.
So Alden waiting with everyone. Alden is probably sitting in kind of like an alcove. He's not like pointed at looking at whatever is happening, whatever we're staking out. He's just got his ears pricked up and he's mending a piece of cloth and slowly trying to put that together to take his mind off of everything that's going on around him.
Now, when it comes to things like this, a mundane scene where people are just waiting, it is at these times of simple life, well, hunting down someone for a bounty, but simple life, where things like Ravenloft can start to peer its ugly head. And I am going to need Alden, of all people, while he's working with said cloth, to please roll a perception check for me, bud. Yeah, you, first roll. Get it to me.
Right.
I need it right now.
I don't know if it's gonna show up. It should be able to show up behind me. Oh, that's not awful. It's 15.
Okay. And as you are kind of working this cloth and kind of looking around, getting kind of the grit of everyone within the room, you kind of have this moment where you pause and you put it down for just a brief moment, as it feels like you can hear the faintest whisper on the wind. Something that is not actually recognizable. You do not know who's speaking, but you kind of peer up and you kind of walk forward, trying to locate where this sound is. It's very brief, and it seems as though the mutterance was coming from the direction of said barn. Now, you have not seen anybody approach or leave said barn in this amount of time, but it does sound like you heard the faintest of a whisper. And with that, I hand it off to you, you noble and terrible role players. Please do as you must. You have to track down a terrible man and get your wish spell. I think you guys will do great, and I have no doubt you will never go to Ravenloft. You'll stay here. Everything will be fine.
Yeah.
It's just a one long beach episode forever.
I think when Alden gets that whiff that there's something happening, he would sort of like shuffle his tools away very quickly and like kind of like crouch up on the hill and look back at everyone and just kind of like motion to be quiet.
I'll say... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Nadine is very, even though she seems exhausted, something you notice is that she's extremely reactive, and so the moment that Alden even hears something or kind of like changes what he's doing, she's immediately, just kind of paying attention and already alert, like, what?
Yeah, like perks up a little bit.
Yeah, just kind of,
Alden turns to everyone and says, I don't know for sure, But I have a feeling that something has moved inside. I haven't seen anything come or go. But I have a feeling that there's something happening inside of the house.
Okay, go check it out if you want.
I will go second, but I will not go first.
What little guy to go first?
Snow's gonna
Burbank
break
closes the
away
door.
from her staring, and she looks at him. Are you sure?
I just don't think it's a good idea if I'm the first person to go in. I mean, look at the way that I'm dressed.
No, I meant, are you sure that you heard something?
I am absolutely positive. Yeah.
What did it sound like?
I could just sort of like movement. Or maybe like whispers. It's hard to describe. It's sort of like the sound of like leaves moving.
We are hiding in a bush.
This is true.
Are we, or are we in a safe house? I think I missed that.
So
Why
I'm
cannot
sorry.
not
I
be
think I'm
both?
confused.
I thought we were in a
hiding
house.
we are hiding in a
time.
bush
We need to.
house of
I
bush.
really need to flesh out this bush, everybody. This is
Please
very
say it
important.
again.
I
Flesh
know.
out the
Where's the
bush.
Describe
Flesh that bush out, pal.
I mean,
Tell us about the bush.
details about the bush.
Yeah.
I need to
Okay.
know.
Does the bush have
Oh.
flowers on
Percent
it?
merch is just the bush. For sure.
If you can please turn in Ben Richton's Guide to Ravenloft to page 31, you're going to learn about the bushes and how they operate in the domain of dread.
I didn't read on my bush
so-
lore. Damn.
Does the bush have
So,
an astrological sign?
You lied. That's not on page 31.
okay, so
Bush is actually
any- okay,
Does it have
so
feelings?
you are in a basically the best way to put it is a poorly made ramshackle safe house disguised as a comical bush. Okay,
Oh,
it is.
that's what
It
I
is
thought,
a,
yeah.
kind of
So
like
I
a
am
bush.
looking through a window.
So like the,
okay.
Yes.
the cartoon style bush where the main characters are in a hedge and the hedge is moving, like that kind of
yes,
aesthetic.
if you
That
guys,
was a house.
Bigger on the inside. It's don't
Oh,
worry
it-
about it.
It's
So
magic.
you
would you
guys
say-
need to
Well,
move.
hedge
Would you say
Do we
Okay,
pick them up
so-
like in Pirates of the Caribbean when they're underneath the boat and we just
I get that
If
vibe.
you-
I feel like
You
that's what
all
we're going
like
for.
to pick up said bush and slowly approach
Would we
the
do our way
scary
over?
bard.
absolutely I would.
Can
I'd
we
have
roll
it no
athletics
other
with
way.
advantage?
Are we doing this?
Pardon me?
Are we doing this together as a team?
I don't think we need. Yes, let's pick it up, everybody, at the same time. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Lift with your legs, not your back.
All right, I'm gonna
Very, very
everybody.
young lady.
I'm gonna need some strength rolls, maybe some athletics. Let's go. If we're gonna lift this bush, we need to do it right.
It's
her
the same- it's the
soul
same
is
thing for me.
strong. Her
I got
body
to
is not.
nat 1.
We're doing great.
Oh,
that's a
Good for
nat 20
athletics.
on athletics?
I got a 10, so right in the middle.
Athletics?
I just pulled something.
So yeah, no. What basically
Got a
transpired
14.
is 14. Okay, so what's basically transpired here
Just
is that we
tips
have
over.
a lot of you have picked up the safe house as best you can. It's very, being that it's disguised as a bush, it is very just kind of hard to get a grasp on, but you are able to do so. However, I will say, Snow, unfortunately, while you are kind of helping dictate who should grab what on said bush, complete strangers, mind you, in this bush project, as you are dictating where people should go on what branches to lift, you unfortunately have slipped and fallen, and kind of banged your head a little bit.
Out
You're a
of the
little bit
bush?
groggy.
Am I
Huh?
rolling? Did I fall out of the bush?
can I try
No,
to
you
catch
are
her?
still within the confines
I was
of
gonna
said
say-
bush.
Can if Snow falls over, Nadine is already booking it. She has abandoned the bush and she is running
No.
to Snow's aid.
Everybody is still within the safety of said bush, but
Okay.
sadly,
I bonked my head.
you done bonked your noggin.
Oh, dear.
There is a bonk on the noggin here. I come to help. And she's just like all like gliding over. And do I
dear.
need to make like a medicine check just to make the bonk go away, or
Sure.
can you trust that
Can
my
I-
boy?
If
I'll
you're
help
going
her
to do
with a
that,
medicine check.
I'm gonna take you by the hand and cast guidance on you and say, "Oh,
Oh.
you're such a dear. Thank you."
You touch her hand and she's sitting there going,
You feel inspired.
she
'Cause
does, but
guidance-
she's not used to it. She's like,
You
no,
you
don't
get
touch,
an extra
don't touch.
D4 die to use on.
Thank
your
you for
roll.
the D4, but not for touch, dear. So I'll do a
Guys,
medicine.
I don't know how else to. I'll work on that. I promise.
Okay, well, so okay, wait, but I have
As
pretty
this is
good.
going on, are we kind of like, okay, now
Yeah, have we stopped moving or are we still moving?
Like,
So
do we
that's-
push her
So-
after she falls?
So that is
I will say that all of you
That
have
is a
stopped
12.
moving for the time being. 12? Okay.
Okay.
You have
It's a
stopped
12 for
moving for the
medicine.
time being because there is a member who has fallen in this bush exploit. Nadine, you come over to check Snow of any. They're totally fine. They're just a little
I
bit
do not
kind of
care.
groggy. It's not a concussion, as though a fantasy society would know what a concussion is. You're totally good.
But they make her
There's
better.
no there's no brain damage. Now, all of you
Not
are
yet.
within this. Thank goodness. All of you are within this bush, and you have lifted up said bush. My big question as a dungeon master, as I've had this party in a comical bush, is: are you planning on sneaking, or are you just casually walking as a bush?
Oh, I
Up
think
to a
we're
bar.
sneaking.
You should.
I think we're
Okay.
very sneaky.
It's a stealth
In
roll.
that case, let's
Alden's
get some
sneaking,
stealth
but he's
rolls.
sneaking behind the person in front of him mechanically. He's not sneaking with the bush, so to speak.
I will sneak with the bush, and I'm also going to guidance myself on the sneaky bush.
Okay, I will
you
need
said
some
roll.
stealth
I
rolls.
took this spell. I'm going to get
Okay.
as much use of it as I can.
The sneaky
gotta
bush
fit.
is also
Totally
the
understand.
title of my autobiography.
It's the sneaky bush.
I got a 17. No, I'm sorry, 21.
Okay.
24. Sorry, 24.
I
Okay.
have gotten a 20.
Okay.
That's a 9 for the kobold.
Come on.
Way to go.
I
Mhm.
got a
He just
Another
runs
15.
under the house.
Stealth. Okay, so for stealth, if we're looking, does scale mail give you disadvantage?
I
I believe
think so.
it might.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, sorry, I'm gonna ruin everything for y'all. If you chuck her out of the bush, she'll understand. She'll be like,
Don't
oh,
worry,
you
I'm
know,
right there with
Need
you.
a distraction.
that's fair.
And
That's
it's
fair.
like
The
Yeah, I
sound of
rolled a
keys
6.
mangling.
Yeah, it's just like so many scales.
It's okay. Stealth is
This is a
overrated.
great start to the game.
Stealth is
We're doing
overrated.
something.
It's fine. It's one mage.
Fine.
We can take him.
So, you guys.
A true
I
rogue can be
hope-
sneaky with noise.
So all of you have kind of, while moving up to this area, all of you are kind of trying to do different things at once. Perhaps your coordination still works as a team, but we'll get there. As you guys are moving forward, Alden, you are kind of off to the side, a little bit behind the people kind of moving in front. You don't want to be completely involved with the bush party, just because the bush party looks like a rough time at the moment. And also, this could ruin things for getting a wish spell. As you guys make your approach, it is unfortunately our cleric and our kobold who kind of bump into each other while moving the bush. And there's kind of a turn kind of situation where you guys move and kind of turn the bush in awkward situation. Like, it's hard steering with these two. So there's been a lot of muttering. There's trying to get this figured out. But you do all manage to get up to the barn. Now, with that, as you guys approach the barn, I am going to need a perception check from all of you.
What check?
Perception.
Perception. Okay.
I'm really,
Perception.
really good at
Are we
Brilliant.
in daylight
Oh.
or nighttime?
I got a nat
That's
20
a
with
good
a plus
question.
11. I got a 31.
Ooh,
To
I
our
got-
kobold friend, we are at night.
I got
Thank
a 10,
goodness.
which is
I've got a
stupid.
10.
But I got
Still
a
an
10.
8.
I
I
have
have
something I want to do when we get to the base of the structure that we're getting to.
Okay.
I have an important
As long as there are
question.
windows.
Yes, Hythrall.
So when it comes to rolling nat 20s, are you the kind of DM where rolling a nat 20 with a skill check is an automatic success, or do you still want us to tell you the total with our full skill points?
Just let me know when it's a crit. That's totally fine. That'll
Okay.
be enough. If you wanna brag, you can add. But
I'm
just tell
absolutely
me the crit.
bragging because I have a +11 to perception.
So
Oh,
in total, that's 26.
okay, cool. So
I'll percent
there's
real
kind
good.
there's a range of kind of as you make that approach. But while you guys are kind of closing in, there's just this really faint clicking. And as you kind of move forward, the faint clicking gets a little bit louder. And it's kind of once you hit, and by the way, when I say barn, this is a dilapidated, old, and almost comically stereotypical barn. We are talking kind of the big swing doors and
Derelict.
a very Barnes barn, if you will. And this actual structure seems to be abandoned. It doesn't seem like anybody has been here for quite a bit of time. Now, when listening, those of you who rolled that crit and rolled above an 18 are going to be listening, and you know that the clicking isn't a clicking. Leaning forward, it sounds more like a clock, the faint hum of a clock operating within. And given the fact that the structure is wide and you guys are about 10 feet out or 15 feet out from that front door of said barn, hearing clicking coming from within probably means the fact that all of you hear something like that means it's quite loud inside, whatever that is, a very loud humming of a clock. Now, Alden, what did you wish to do as we approach this structure? And there's a bush.
Is there any kind of window or anything on one of these walls that we're approaching?
You wish to go to the window or the wall?
And then to the wall, theoretically.
Thank you, everybody.
And also, I wanted to know how large is this structure? Alden's trying to figure out if we could potentially surround it and then come in from all sides.
You could. The structure is not all that ridiculously big. We are talking most likely a probably 25-foot dimension. Nothing incredibly large or something that would be a Herculean task. All of you could clearly, easily encircle it. And what was your other question? I'm sorry.
It
what
was
that first part?
If there's any kind of like window or opening up above that Alden might be able to.
Sorry, I was too busy singing dirty lyrics. Yes, there is a window that you can actually make an approach to, and that you can peer in, if you so choose. You would have to actually get up on an old barrel, but you would be able to essentially look through if you wish.
I think Alden will be able to manage it. So when we get to the base, as long as, does anyone else have anything that they want to put forth on that like journey up to the structure itself?
So who did not hear the clock? Who got lower than an 18? Okay, so only me and Adara heard it. I think that when I hear that, it's going to be not what I expected. And I'm going to look back and I think I would recognize on Adara's face the same recognition of something strange. And I'll put my hand up to kind of stop everyone.
Same.
And I'll be like, there's something odd in there already. Be
It's a ticking noise of some kind.
very, very careful. And Alden, you said you were going to go forward?
Yeah, Alden, when he hears you say that, he's going to say, well, I think there's like a window, I think, or some kind of opening I think I can get up there to peer through, and if maybe a couple of us could go around the building just to make sure that I'm not surprised.
She's going to reach out and may I? And ask your permission to put a hand on your shoulder.
Yeah, at first, Alden, when he sees your hand go up and move toward him, he like freezes.
She hesitates and
says,
waits for your permission.
Yeah, okay.
And then she's going to put a hand on your shoulder and you're going to feel guidance, Philly, and be like, and she'll just say, be very, very cautious. Some things cannot be seen by just the eyes.
I think when Alden gets the guidance, he feels like this reassurance flow over him because he's just not used to being in contact with people. And so he just gives her this like very knowing nod and says, okay, well.
Yeah, she pulls back very respectfully.
You hold the boat or try and find whatever opening that you have, and I'm going to take a peek through there. And you watch as Alden kind of like slinks under the, I keep imagining a boat. But Alden slinks underneath the bush, and you see him plant 1 foot on the wall, and then another foot on the wall, and Alden walks up the wall.
Ooh.
That's a very good
Question. I would like to do something before Alden goes up the wall.
Yes.
Are you trying not to be seen right now?
I would, prefer that. I would rather nobody be seen, to be completely honest.
I can only do it for one, but he takes out a little tome and starts writing into it with his quill. Permission. This will make it easier for you.
Given.
And he lightly taps Alden, and Alden goes invisible.
Alden flinches. He's trying to look at his hands for a second, and he goes,
trick.
This is amazing. Have you been able to do this? You know what? Okay, thank you. And Alden's going to go up
You
the
could
wall.
have done that the whole time.
Well, I didn't want to give myself an unfair
He said he can only do it for one person.
I have limited spell slots, damn it.
I'm very impressed. That's a very good trick. Are you sure?
Someone else come with me. We're going to circle around the back and make sure he doesn't sneak away.
I'll come with you.
All right.
It's Alden just
And
gone.
shoulder the rifle and follow.
Nadine
All
is
right,
just
so
going to
we have-
follow the largest group of people at a respectful distance. And she's just like, hi, I'm support.
Are we planning on going
Alright.
through are we going to go through the main door? Is that what we're going to do? Or are we going to just peek in?
So it sounds like, as far as I can tell, Alden, you are invisibly now you're walking up the wall trick. Completely looks. We have no idea. That
Yeah, no one can see what I'm doing. Everyone's just like, is he gone? What did?
We just see like muddy footprints appearing on the wall, and we're like, what's he up
How
to?
did those get there?
Why?
These dirty footprints, and they're just like, how's he climbing? That's weird.
What is happening?
Only footprints, no handprints.
What did you do to him?
And as far as we can tell, it seems that our gunner and our kobold have gone around back with Nadine as to encircle the actual barn. Thorben and Snow, I'm assuming you guys are staying up front, or do you guys want to kind of journey back with the rest of the group? Where do you want to go?
While they all go, I'm going to look at Thorabane and which way did you want to go, young one?
At the barn, where are we standing? Like near
You guys
the door?
are right out front of the barn in a bush. By the way, also, quick question. As we split the party, who takes the bush?
We're just going to leave
We leave the bush?
I'm not taking the bush.
Are we
I'm not
all
taking
just
the bush.
each surrounding it? Because
Are we abandoning the bush? Okay, I just
I will
want to know.
happily
Bush is
abandon
gone.
the bush. The bush can go to the main
we
squad.
set the bush on fire.
That's a distraction.
All right. So,
It's the burning bush,
very
y'all.
biblical.
Oh boy.
Young one, what was your name again? I don't think I caught it.
Thoraban.
I'm asking this to Thorabane.
My name is Thoraban. And yours?
Oh. You may call me Snow. Are you comfortable up close in the face of danger, or do you prefer to hang back?
It really depends on what the
If someone's
situation.
holding a big sword,
He starts
are
being
you
nervous, like
You know
answering
what?
that
And
specific question.
she takes it by the. I like to be right up in the face of it all, so you just stay behind me, okay? And everything will be all right.
I like the idea that Nadine just like appears behind them and is like, if you get stabbed, if you do experience blood loss or being stabbed, even if it's in vital organ, I have means to make sure that
She's
the
very
blood
good.
goes back inside.
She's
I'm
very,
ve-
very good. I can vouch for this one.
Thank you. I do not know you, but yes.
So let's
Alden,
go
You
in
can
then.
call me Snow, like the thing that falls
Oh.
from the sky.
Oh,
Alden,
Hello.
you are
You frighten
invisibly
me, but hello.
walking up a wall.
Don't be scared.
You are invisibly walking up a wall to peer in and see a very interesting scene that is actually happening within the barn. You are looking about to see the middle of the room, essentially the middle of the barn. There is what looks to be strewn about hay, and towards off to one side, kind of, if you were to enter off to the right, you see what looks to be a mound of hay with a couple of books surrounding it. Clearly a place for someone to kind of just hit the hay and sleep off whatever day they've had.
Excellent.
And they clearly have a couple of tomes, books that they are reading in a very wizardly-like manner. However, towards the actual center of the room of that one barn, and there's no staples, there's no animals, there's no place for any kind of, it's been cleared out for just a plain surface in the middle of the room. They have made a massive amount of space for a very spiral light. I'm doing it this way, but I should do it like this, right? A spiral shape of paper. And towards the center of this spiral of paper, each one having little runes dotted about it, is a tall grandfather clock, one that is ticking away. Now, as you see this big grandfather clock ticking away and this strange spiral pattern surrounding the grandfather clock, you also notice, uncomfortably so, in the far left corner, there seems to be a man in red robes who is just staring at the corner of the room. He is not engaging with the books near the hay. He is not engaging with the grandfather clock. He is not doing anything in particular. It seems as though he is simply looking forward at the dead corner of the room in a very uncomfortable way. You cannot see his face, and you cannot see what he's holding in front of him, but it looks like there is something in his hands. Now, Nadine, you had a question.
Yeah, sorry. So when you say he's standing in the corner, we're talking like horror movie, like standing directly in front of the corner, or are we like how much space? Like just the
into the
Blair
corner.
Witch Project type deal?
Yeah, he's just staring into the corner because
just a silly, goofy mood.
Very
normal.
You know?
Yeah, of course, guys, it's fine.
So we're just seeing the back of him staring into the corner.
Can I do an Arcana check to see if maybe the symbology and the layout of everything rings a bell for me from maybe the books that I read when I was at the monastery studying?
Sure, go for it.
Brilliant. Is that
Roll
an
Arcana check? Yeah, please do.
Oh, come on, please. Oh, yes. 19.
Oh.
So you are kind of looking down at the actual kind of layout of the grandfather clock because you're like, clearly this is something very important. Whatever he's doing, I don't understand it. It is based off of transmutation magic and something stranger, something that's closer to probably, I guess you might say, enchantment. And when you look at the actual spiral, you get the weird sense that it's supposed to be something that would teleport people somewhere or move from one place to another. But that is not what is the most important thing to you. The grandfather clock seems to be ticking down. And most importantly, you actually you look over to the corner. And this is the thing that catches your eye and probably is going to alarm you more than said grandfather clock. You see the wizard kind of turn and drop what he's holding, and it looks like a bunch of coins. And then he reaches down, picks up a cup, bites into it, puts the cup back down, walks over to the hay bale, picks up some books, looks at them, throws them away, and you see the image flickering the whole way. You do not have a clear version of his face. This man is an illusion of some variety, and you're not sure if it's programmed well, essentially is the best way to put it. So you have a strange clock in the middle of the room, and you clearly have an illusion wizard who isn't really there. Not to mention, you have a party who has surrounded both sides of this barn, and most importantly, have abandoned the bush. Bush abandonment is a very serious crisis in our country. And if you call the number at the bottom of our screen, we can help bushes out there.
Alden turns around and the bush is just there. Is it on fire? Do I remember that right?
No, that was a joke.
I'm not
part of it.
Okay. I was just in a silly goofy mode, but it's fine. I don't hurt bushes.
There is no burning bush Moses. What are you doing, Alden?
Unfortunately.
I think when Alden sees that, that flash of realization that he has, he turns around and he's trying to find any sign of like where the rest of the party has gone. He's going to take whatever route he thinks is the shortest to reach somebody.
So the closest people to you is going to be the ones who have gone around back. That being our three, our silly, goofy mood gang. That being our kobold, that being our gunner, and that being our cleric. So you run back to see all of them, and of course our kobold kind of prepping a little bit, I assume, a siege, as you seem a little bit antsy.
I'm about to bust in there. If I'm just waiting for any sound to actually try and go in.
Right.
Is Thorben there with the rest of them when I catch up with them?
Thorben would be out front. Yeah. So the closest people would be around back, but the people like Thorben and Snow are up front. We have split the party.
I think Alden would get there, and the very first thing he would say is, "What? Hold on, where's Thorben?"
You hear an invisible voice talking to you.
Yeah, the deep.
Spin around and instinctively like hit with the butt of the gun at the invisible talk.
KOs him.
No offense.
Roll to attack?
Bonk.
Roll a disadvantage there.
I'm not trying to hurt.
As if we give Alden a broken, bloody nose, at least we'll be able to see him, kind of.
And hear him.
You're trying to get so heart attack so early.
Yeah?
Hold on one sec. It's not gonna hit. I can, thankfully.
Yeah, Alden sees the butt of the gun go up in the air, and he's like, "Yeah,
It's an
okay, that
8.
was weird."
Just
Guys, it's Alden. I don't know how long this is going to last.
so
I thought
sorry.
Thorben was here with you.
No.
Perhaps you could hold
Do
him.
Do we go in or not?
I thought we were just going around
Front
to do
with Thorben discussing which order we're gonna go.
Alden explains basically as quickly as he can the ritual circle that's
Listen
there.
intently.
I think there's some sort of setup in there, and there's some kind of wizard. I really couldn't get a read on what he looks like. I couldn't see his face. I could see him move, but there's some kind of ritual there. According to the books that I saw back in the monastery, I think it's something meant to transport people. And there's a clock. There's a very large clock, but it's counting backwards.
Do we have any
We should get in there and stop it.
Agreed, but do we have any distinct magic users who might be able to tell what it's counting down to or about?
I could
No.
I could do my best to try to figure this out, but you know, I mainly was studying Ilmater and making sure people do not do the die. But you know, maybe there's some overlap.
Nobody wants to do the die.
If clock is making people die, then I might know how to how to stop clock so people.
Could you tell if he was wearing a mask? Was he the man we're looking for?
No, it was less like he was wearing a mask and more as if it's hard to describe, but like his face was blurred. Like the rest of his body was moving just fine, but his face was shifting back and forth.
Brill, may I make an
We are
Arcana
going to
check?
Go for an Arcana check. You may roll that. We are going to jump back over to Thorben and Snow. So, what are you guys up to?
The Arcana check is a 4, so no worries.
Thorben is muted. Oh, never mind. Your mouth was moving, and I didn't hear anything. So
yeah. No worries. So
we're all panicking. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, Thorben is with Snow with a passive perception of 19. Can he hear Alden return to the rest of the party? Or is that like too far away?
I will say that with that passive perception, you would hear the faintest, because also, this is going to sound strange, but Alden is trying to clearly compensate for the fact that he's invisible with his voice. So he is clearly trying to keep it at a whisper so the crazy thing inside the barn doesn't hear him. But there's still that like
harsh whisper.
Right,
Stage whisper.
It's a bit higher.
He projects.
Yeah, it's whispered squared. So there's that going on. And you are able to hear what sounds like the subtle whispers and talking of someone in the back of the barn.
Okay. Thorben's going to relay that to Snow as...
So I actually have a passive perception of 21, so I think we both look at each other, kind of like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and go, I sensed it too.
we should go check it out.
I'm gonna like take you by the hand. I'm gonna hurry you like around to find them at the other side of the room. Like
Thorben is not resisting, but he's also visibly confused.
So we are no longer surrounding the barn. We are in the back of the barn. Yes, Hythrall, what is up?
It was kind of funny that they mentioned they're going to do that because right before you switched over to them, I was going to say, great, let's get back to the front and tell them what we found out. So we're going to like Scooby-Doo run into each other.
Yes.
We just both are like, where did they go?
Actually, I'm going to need, wait a minute, I am going to need, we're going to say, Alden, I'm going to need you to please roll a d20 for me.
Just a straight
all
D20.
on you.
Love
Bye,
those.
guys. We're all gonna
Great
die.
always. Never
This was a
let
great
me down.
campaign. Sorry it ended so fast.
It's been great, guys.
It's been really great to meet you. Thank
it
you for
was
tuning in
almost
to
a
our only
19.
can I get some
session.
guidance?
I got a 3.
You got a 3.
A hot
Okay.
3.
And
A lucky 3.
Could have been a
I
one.
would also like to jump in here quickly and say, Nadine, from your Arcana check that you did earlier,
It was a 4.
you have not the foggiest of what
Tell
the
me
fuck
I'm
is going on
stupid. Just say it
inside.
to my face. I know. I've
No.
been new. I know
No,
I'm a
you're
big
smart
old
in other
dumb
ways,
dummy. Big old dumb
No.
dummy. It's not hurt, so I am
So-
clueless. I'm like,
So
it's a
you said
clock.
you got
I'm
you
just
got
gonna
a
be like,
3,
hello, I
Alden,
know
you
how
said?
clocks work. The end.
Alden, you got a 3, you said?
Yep. Hot
Okay.
wet 3.
So that sounds like an odd number. So in that case, what's going to happen is we're going to have the party who's like, let's get back to the front. The back party runs up front, one side of the barn, and the front party runs to the back on the other side of the barn.
Yeah, we
You
just did
pass each other.
I'm gonna look around very
no.
confused and be like, I'm sorry, I very much expected everyone to be here.
our friends have died.
Is my
That's up to us
invisibility
now.
still up?
Somebody ate
Yes.
them.
It's up for an hour as long as I hold concentration.
Sorben turns them all
Alden wouldn't know
invisible.
that, though.
Alden
Honestly.
thinks he's like this forever now. Alden thinks
Well,
this
no,
is
no,
his
not
new
that.
life.
He's just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And Alden, not to get too meta, but in Alden's mind, he would go in like straight up through the window and do more surveillance, but he doesn't want to be caught with his pants down. Not that his pants are down, but he doesn't want to be.
How would we know? How would we
We'll never
know?
know. No one will ever know. Actually, he goes through the entire campaign with no pants.
As he should.
I
We
do-
stand. Happy
I do like that we started this Ravenloft campaign off with the most Scooby-Doo bullshit that I think I could.
Right?
Like outside the rooms and the hallways.
Can all of the artists in the chat make like little comic strips of our shenanigans, please?
I need us
I
to
That would
want
be so
it
fun.
so
Oh my god.
much.
I'm writing a list of the scenes that I want to be narrated,
Please.
and so far I have the bushwalk to the barn written down. So any cartoonists in the chat, we need
We definitely
bushwalk.
need we need the Thorben and Alden interaction too when he turns him invisible and he's like, you could have done this the whole time. Just like,
Because
Why
of your
didn't you
voice,
leave me?
Alden,
Wait.
Why was
Alden
this not the
We're
first
done.
thing that you did?
this was not step fun.
So Alden is with Nadine, Nadine Kripik, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I think.
Kripyik, but
Yeah. Kripik
Oh, Kripik.
and Adara.
Kripik.
He's going to just kind of like touch everyone on the shoulder and just say, I'm going to try to go back in. Try to find the others. And he's going
shout when
to
you need help.
try and go back up to a window and try and get in there while he can.
Snow
Thorben-
has Thorben down, pointing like, now these are tracks, and we need to now figure out which direction they go, and that will tell us where our friends went.
I am going to say,
Yes,
for
no,
the
that
sake
is
of
how tracks work. Thank you so much.
for the sake of everything,
Learner.
while Alden is starting to make his way inside the actual barn, Thorben and Snow, you both kind of go, let's try this one more time. But now that we have tracks, I won't have you roll investigation on these tracks because it's a circle, and you are able to make it to the. You make it. You make it to the front of the barn with the rest of the party. Alden, you enter said barn. Now that all of you are together.
When he gets through whatever opening he goes through, he's going to remove one of his gloves and put it in his pocket.
Oh.
Okay.
I was going to say, if he takes it off and sets it down, does it become visible? Because then it could be like a Hansel and Gretel, like paper trail, but
all
with
of you,
gloves
all
and
of you
accessories.
for
but
a split second see a glove appear and then disappear as it goes through a doorway.
What the fuck? Now there's phantom
he
gloves?
did that once he was in the barn, didn't he?
Or is he in the window? Is there just a glove just doing flipsies? Doing like super cool stunt moves in the window?
All of you are now together. Hythrall, yes.
So is there a window at the front of the barn, or is it only like how, like a window on either side of the barn door, or is it only the barn doors at the front?
No, the barn door is at the front. It's only the barn door at the front.
Okay.
The back, if you kind of start to go around back, is where the back window is.
Okay.
Yes, Alaric, I see your
We should
face.
just complete our Scooby-Doo shenanigans and all make a stack of heads poking around the corner.
Yes. Yes.
I was gonna say that, and then if we have to do some sort of retreat, we gotta jump up, run in the air, and then poof out.
That actually works with what I was about to say I was going to do, is she angles herself, trying not to be seen, so she can angle her rifle in to cover Alden, and then everyone else wants to see what's going on, and they just stack over her head. And it's very hard to aim when you're doing this.
I have a large face. It's not designed for corners.
So all of you kind of do the comedic peer in to watch your invisible bud kind of enter the room.
Write that one down too for the comics.
You guys,
what is it called? We do around the
stack? I don't know. Head.
Yeah.
Head.
How many doorways are there?
I'm gonna look at this tomorrow and be like, "What the fuck does this mean?"
Alden, you, there is the one entrance into the barn, that being the front barn door, which is currently getting peered with a comedical stack of heads. Now, on entering into the barn, Alden, I am going to need you to actually please roll a Constitution saving throw for me.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
15.
You're just picking on Alden so much.
I really am. And you know what's funny? This Scooby-Doo shit, it's going to stop in about 5 minutes.
Oh, that's what you think. Just wait.
Actually, Nadine means Scooby-Doo in
1,000
German.
episodes of Scooby-Doo.
I was a dog the whole time, and then I take off my mask, and it was me, Scooby-Doo.
Wait,
Alden, what is up?
I had a 15.
Am I
You had a 15. You passed. However, on entering into the actual room, you immediately feel your stomach drop. There feels as though when you enter into this space, there is a crackling in the air, and it feels wrong, altered, strange, and bizarre.
Like anxiety,
Other
right?
synonyms.
Like that,
Kind
that
of.
emotion.
I think it's more close to when you're in a car or you're in some kind of vehicle and you have to go over a hill and you just kind of go down. It's like a roller coaster. When you first make that jump and you go down, your stomach just drops. And,
like an elevator.
Yeah. And you feel this kind of strange feeling of, oh my God, I'm going to be sick. And then you are able to kind of waver through it. And you enter into this room that is kind of overwhelmingly strange when you start to actually look at it from like head on. You're not looking at it through an angle through a window anymore. You are in a room, and when you kind of look at the different angles and the different ends, things don't feel right. The entire room has a dark, foreboding energy, and it's at this point when you try to make your way to look over towards the strange wizard that was once here. And when I say once, I do mean once, because now that you're actually looking at him, you can somewhat look through him, and he does not react to you. He is completely, as far as you can tell, illusionary. He is something there that is completely and totally, clearly to trick people to think that he's here.
I want to throw a dart at him.
You go for it.
Okay.
While he's throwing a dart, can I
Roll an
ask
attack,
you,
I guess.
is Alden the only one who experienced this?
Alden is the only one who has entered the room to experience this. All of you have peered in. If you all would like to walk in, you absolutely may.
Are we all
I'm
like
throwing a dart, but I'm going to use sharpshooter, so I'm going to take the -5.
So are
Okay,
we...
and Nadine, what were you about to say?
My apologies, sorry. Are we just seeing like a dart just appear to shoot the ghost wizard without a face?
Oh.
Like we're just peeking through and we're just seeing ghost dart shoot out
Would
of
that
nowhere?
actually dispel the invis?
Yeah, how would
Eight.
we...
So that will dispel the actual spell from this action. So Alden is once invisible, now seen as a dart flies from his hand towards the ghost wizard, correct?
Yeah, it's an 8, and I as a person, as a player, I know this is a bad idea, but this is what Alden would do. I'm going to use some key points to try and make it hit.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find this, the correct. I think it's 1 key point gives you +2, if I can recall correctly.
It does.
Okay.
Come on. Oh, this music. If anything would drive my anxiety through the roof, it would be this. Here we go. Focused aim. I can spend 1 to 3 key points to increase my roll by 2 for each of the key points that I use. So I'm gonna use 2 of the 5 key points that I have and pray for the best. So that's going to go from being an 8 to being a 12.
Ah, okay. So you kind of focusing as the dart flies from your hand, you're able to curve it, and it goes directly through the wizard's head. And you dead on, kind of right here, just phases right through him, and the kind of comedically, the illusion pops with that, as the wizard is no more at all. Hythrall, yes.
Book it out of there as soon as he sees that. As soon as it
Okay.
pops, because he's done everything he can to make sure that it would hit. And when he sees that and doesn't know what it is, he's just going to try and bamf out of there.
So you guys are going to have to deal with an Alden running out the door that you were peering around. And Hythrall, yes.
So when she sees him do that, she immediately moves forward, still in that crouching position, rifle aimed, and I imagine he went in this way in the barn. So she goes that way to try to take another position, still aiming at the illusion, and when it pops, it's just kind of a... and holds that.
Right. With you actually entering the barn, I will also need you to roll that Constitution save.
I will say, based on my medical knowledge, people aren't supposed to do that when you hit them with a dart. Typically, as the dart sticks in the face, they don't pop.
I think
this
it's
is
an
a trick.
illusion.
I rolled a dirty 20.
Hey.
Lovely. You having your actual military training, you are able to steal your nerve. You have seen things that have sickened you. And when that feeling of nausea kind of goes over you once more, you're able to remember your training and shake it off. Now, I am going to also need everybody to please roll another perception check for me.
Yeah.
Ugh, that wasn't as good.
31.
As a 4.
I got
I'm
a
too distracted.
31.
Perception. Ooh, that's a 17.
11.
I got an 11.
Okay.
Team
All
11.
of you are able to actually hear the ticking continue as the mysterious ticking noise, that being this grandfather clock, has continued to go on through this entire little journey of trying to figure out where the masked mage is. However, you all hear the ticking stop. And with the ticking stopping, and with the actual grandfather clock seeming to finally be still, there is a strange, eerie mood that falls on the barn. And from underneath the grandfather clock, a strange mist starts to rise up from it that kind of billows out and into the rest of the barn, and then towards outward the barn. Now, all of you, just on instinct, simply know that this mist is no good. There is something within your being, something that feels primal, that when you see it billow out, there is the uncomfortable strike of fear within your soul. You know that whatever this is, it is not good. It is not of peace, and it is something that you just know to stay away from. We've all had moments in our lives where we've touched something or seen something where we're like, that's not good. I shouldn't have messed with that. And this is certainly one of those things. And we are going to be taking a break for 15 minutes. And in that 15 minutes, everybody is going to go to the bathroom, everybody is going to relax, and then we will be back
Drink
for
water.
more. Drink water. We will all see you very shortly. Thank you very much. Jinkies! Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dark Dominion campaign, hosted by me, Brill, and with these many TikTokers that I'm torturing, and we're probably going to do something silly with the mist. Now, this mist that has gone into the party, that has gone through this barn and out into the wider daylands under the night sky, is moving fairly quickly and acting fairly quickly as you all have backed out of the barn away from this is Thorban, who, as all of you are kind of backpedaling, has made his way to the front of the group. Thorban, what is it that you will be doing as this creeping mist that gives you just a weird feeling in the back of your spine is giving... back of your spine, sure. We'll make up new things. What has been kind of creeping towards you and giving you a terrible, foreboding, ominous feeling. Thorban, it is yours.
So, contrary to Thorban's purposeful movement, he has a 1,000-yard stare as he is moving to the front. He has grabbed his quill as it begins streaking with greenish light. His eyes begin to glow just a little bit as he exclaims, "Get behind me!" And he writes in the air in runic languages, and a wind begins to vortex around himself and the rest of the party to keep the mist at bay.
And you are essentially summoning this wind in a very purposeful motion, keeping all, as much as you can, this mist away, thinking that the wind will help. Now we are going to jump to each member of the party on how they react to this. First of all, is Snow. Snow, you have just seen this party member, this person that you have, quite frankly, we might say babied up to this point, take charge from a very foreboding and very familiar kind of threat. Something that you have probably seen or at least heard of.
She is going to feel her stomach turn into ice water and knot up. And it's a fear that she has not felt in hundreds of years. Like a familiar trigger that she forgot even existed, like an unlocked memory. And she is going to grab onto his cloak with her eyes wide and full of terror. She doesn't go behind him, but she leans in close and like postures her shoulders outward, like, you got this side, I got that side, and looks for the closest person and thrusts her hand out to try to grab hold of whoever will take her hand.
And we are going to be jumping to our Kobold friend. Kobold, this is a very new and probably different place for you.
Kripyek is not a fan of magic in general. Wizards generally cause bad things to happen. So as this mist starts to appear, he's caught between a known magic and an unknown magic. So with a very like snarling, angry posture, like he's backing away from the mist and into Thorbian's general vicinity.
Try to keep within the vortex.
Yeah.
Right. Nadine, how about yourself as this is going on? Where do you find yourself?
So the moment that there's a clear danger, Nadine immediately focuses on getting the people who aren't in the vortex. So I don't know if Adara or Alden have reached it yet, but what she's gonna be doing is she's gonna be trying to like make her way out to whichever one is closest and making sure that you get to safety first. So actually, like, potentially
Alden
leaving.
still invisible?
No, because you
No.
Alden is
so you
not
came back.
invisible.
So I don't. So are either of them like in there, or which one is close? One of
I
them
think
is like.
the good question
I think
for
we're
that
both going to
is-
be.
Well, I
the
actually
party.
think there's a very good question here for Daria. Where did I just say your name totally wrong?
Yes.
I
That's
totally
okay.
did. Okay. All right. You know what? I'll give you new names as we continue.
Your name is Steve.
I'm learning new things about myself.
Actually
I
canonic.
saw that.
We have Adaria and Walden. Walden
Do I
is
get
the
a
one
cool
that constantly
MTV
gets lost.
opening?
My name is Slush.
Absolutely.
Instead of Daria, I'm Adaria.
All right, Bush League, listen up. So we're going to jump in.
Jail.
So to our gunman, who I imagine having just, you were the closest to the clock when it went off, and you were still somewhat in the barn. Alden, as soon as this popped off, ran the fuck out, and that is where the rest of the party seems to be operating from, is outside the barn doors. Do you proceed back, or how do you operate under this situation?
So it'll be in connection to Thorbin's action, if that's okay, where as soon as the mist begins seeping out and covering the ground, her perceived threat, it all connects to the clock. So she fires off a round at the clock and begins backing up in time with him yelling, "Get behind me," still aiming at the mist, eyes focused, imagining that some kind of threat or terror is going to come out of there. And I imagine we all converge at around the same time in that moment.
If I may, would you be okay if Nadine sees you focusing on the clock, kind of like grabs you by your shoulder and like tries to pull you back? If not,
She's
that's
already
A-okay.
moving. She's already moving. Mhm.
Okay.
So
She's
can you
backing
please
up.
roll an attack for that round
Yeah,
that you shot
absolutely. Woohoo!
off? Ooh.
For her rifle, that is a 23.
Okay, so you please roll damage for me.
Okay. Damage is 12.
You fire and you see the actual grandfather clock, the face of the clock. You are dead on. And with a connection, the clock breaks, snaps, essentially, and spatters out a bunch of glass and other forms of which you imagine cogs to actually help it. The impact breaks the grandfather clock. However, you are startled by what also begins as you're backing up firing. You are able to look inside the grandfather clock for a moment as you see what you imagine to be the kind of dangling human hand is stuck within the cogs of the grandfather clock, as there seems to be other weird bits of fleshy tissue strewn about the actual grandfather clock bits. It is uncomfortable and it is strange. And something that you thought to be that is fully mechanical has entered a much more dark thing. You also notice that you were the only person who noticed this in the panic. Alden, as people are moving into this vortex, what are you up to?
Can I ask for a story beat?
Yes.
Really? Okay,
You may.
awesome.
I give
So
them
because
freely.
Alden has been afflicted with invisibility, that's the way he sees it.
Or was. You are now
yeah.
seen.
Was.
So as he comes barreling out of the barn, you see the doors fling open and nothing comes out, but you hear thunk. Alden is phasing in and out of visibility as he comes rolling out of the doors, because he's trying to get as far away from this thing as possible. And suddenly he comes into full visibility and he stands up and he runs to the rest of the party and he says, Everyone, get together as quickly as you can. Everyone, grab hands, grab something from somebody next to you. Everyone, get together. And Alden, basically, someone who doesn't normally want to be touched and flinches when other people touch him, is like reaching out to grab and make sure that everyone, as far as possible, is in here all together as closely as we can be.
The first person to immediately notice the change coming from this weird, bizarre rolling mist going to be Snow. As you are connected in a certain way, the natural order of things, to nature, to the earth and all its winds and wares. As you look about and you notice down on the ground, the first thing that feels like there's been a change, split second. What was once the fine feeling of grass underneath you from the Dale Land has become rough and hard and very uncomfortable. And as you look down, you notice the sweeping kind of pearly sands beneath your feet, as you also feel warmer and the temperature has changed. And immediately you notice that despite Thorban's efforts with moving this wind and whipping it about, that the trees are covered with the mist. The Dale Lands themselves are covered with the mist, and something is already moving, something is already changing. You are already caught. From there, it jumps to Nadine. Nadine, you feel this sharp kind of jump of panic as you feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand on end, and you realize that you have never, ever felt this far away from the light of your god. It feels as though it's dim and difficult to reach. One that you can't immediately feel just a warmth that you kind of took for granted. Something that is an easy part to your faith is removed.
Say this.
At least for a time. And Thorben, you notice as you are whipping this about, the crackling of your magic. Something that you have felt time after time. Something that is important to you. Important to who you are. And the different ways you manifest spells within the world. For some reason, feel it change. Feel it alter. Something that is something very controllable. Something that you have trained and honed your mind to do. One that is to cast spells and feel the arcane energy go through your body and operate in the world. Become looser. It's harder to move the wind. It's harder to actually get what you want. As flickers of fire seem to puff and poof outside from moving this wind. Sparks. Magic itself, the mana that you use, is difficult and unwieldy. Something that you haven't felt since you were an apprentice. Something that you haven't felt since you had just learned your first mage hand. It's uncomfortable. Odd. But as all of you focus on the barn and move against the mist, you all feel the utility of what you've been doing. As you look about, you realize the trees have vanished, time has changed. While night is still above you, the sky, the barn is still there, taken with you, but the ground is a harsh red sand. The sky shows a moon that has been split in twain. Stars that twinkle in and out of existence quite vividly and quickly. Shooting stars and an activity amongst the heavens that is not seen within the Dale Lands. It's something that can only be described as otherworldly. Now, you look about your surrounding, as it seems like the mist has begun to leave, in a sense, and you find yourselves in a waste. Looking far towards your north, you see what looks like a faint mountain range. And it seems as though you all are going to need to catch your bearings. However, the barn is with you. And, most importantly, bush with you. Welcome for that. Bush came. I could have left the bush.
My one
I
song.
brought the bush.
My one. What a gift.
Welcome to Bush
You're welcome.
League.
You see, I try.
All hail.
That's good.
Thanks
That's
to you
good.
My
guys
god is
watching,
with
by the
me,
way.
as my god is. But that's the one I
That's what I worship.
be like.
So, with that,
I think
all of
Alden,
you-
as like a combat medic, would immediately, once he feels a physical anything beneath his feet, and knows that he's alive, he's gonna go to each of the people and kind of like give them a quick, like, physical and make sure, like, does it hurt anywhere? Like,
I feel like
you can
Snow
tell me,
is doing
you
the
feel okay?
same
Can you
thing.
breathe fine? Does anything hurt? Like, he's just frantically kind of like making sure that he can go between everyone and making sure that everyone's okay.
I think, if I may, and I'm sorry for having a boof brain moment while you were describing. I think Nadine, you can see that the separation from her god has affected me to where she shivers, almost to like, almost seem like something kind of gets a little bit off, and you get almost like a weird energy. Like if you feel your friend next to you tense up, or like you can almost feel the like anxious energy coming off of someone, only it's not anxiety. It's almost like sight. But and she seems just very, very uncomfortable and somehow even more tired. If that's even possible.
Snow is going to
Yes.
take a few steps and look around, and a realization is going to fall upon her. And then she's going to back up to the group with her hands protectively, and she's going to turn to them. Don't go far. We need to stay together.
Could be a wizard trap, yes.
So, being a cleric as well, do I get that same feeling of being cut off from my god? And
No.
okay,
You do not have the same strange feeling as Nadine does. As you you feel just as secure. That baseline, that divinity seems to stay with you as though it's abandoned someone else.
Brill,
However,
I'm imagining a desert around us, like in all directions. Is it desolate? Or did we
it is desolate. It is of red sands and a very strange sky. And while there's
imagining,
mountain
like,
range to the
Mars.
north,
dark?
I'm thinking of a
Thunder.
blasted land, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're kind of. It's a little bit alien. It's a little of that wasteland, and yeah, it is desolate and desert. And it is still night, and you can feel that temperature drop as it is cold. But I'm going to need everybody to please do me a favor and roll an Arcana check for me. Hell yeah.
I'm
Kobold, you got
roll.
this.
Brill, before I roll, do I
Well,
need
I
to
rolled an
declare that I'm
18,
using my
so I have an
guidance
18.
before I roll, or do I need to do that? Can I do that after I roll?
I got
That
it
is-
done.
I got an
Alden,
8.
Can you, before we jump on all that, Alden, what did you say? I'm sorry.
I still have guidance. I haven't forgotten. Am I allowed to wait until after I see the roll to declare guidance, or do I have to wait until, or should I declare it before I roll?
You use guidance according to the spell
Mhm.
before the DM
You
says
declare
it's a
it before,
success or a
right?
failure, but you may see the result.
Okay.
Yes.
But
So
but it has to
former,
be
not the
before
latter.
if the DM says success or fail, then you no
Yeah,
longer
that's
can.
what I was afraid of. All right, can I roll then? And before you tell me if I succeed or fail, will you allow me to declare guidance?
Yes. Yes,
Brilliant.
I will.
Okay. And this
Literally
is
my
perception?
name. Yes. Yes, it is. No, this is Arcana. And we are going to start at the top of the list, and I'm just going to run through everybody. Nadine, what did you get for Arcana?
Earl got an
Okay.
first
Lovely.
roll.
We are going to jump to Cryptic.
Got a natural 18.
That's crazy.
Fine.
You're not a wizard. And
No,
then
I
we are
did.
going to go to our Winter Wonderland elf Snow. What did you roll?
A 10. Very
Lovely.
average.
And then we are going to our cleric with a gun. What did you roll?
Got an 11.
11. And Thorbin, what did you roll?
10.
Okay. So, this is weird.
I got a 13. I did use my inspiration, or I used the guidance. So I have a 13.
And wait, I'm sorry, just to double check. Nadine, what did you roll?
I rolled a 7.
Okay, cool.
No, wait,
So-
did I? 1 second. I rolled an 8. I lied.
Okay.
No, it's an 8.
With
Falling for my trap.
that, all of you feel just something that is uncomfortable. Whatever the actual base frequency of this place is, it is unnatural. And all of you who have some variety of magic can really feel it, but can't really understand where it is. You all know something is up with magic here. However, funnily enough, the wisdom comes of the mouth of kobolds. It is going to be our little lizard friend who realizes something that probably most spellcasters would not. And that is when a spellcaster is about to make a spell, when magic is about to happen, there is a weird exchange of energy that you can feel within the air. And if you are known for killing a certain amount of spellcasters, you begin to sense for it. You wait to hear the crackle of the spell. And in this case, our little kobold, who has never trusted a wizard once, immediately knows that there is a lot of magic around here. Probably too much. And if a spell was to be cast in this arena, while you're not for sure, you would know it would probably have some. Basically, the best way to put it is the landscape surrounding you as a form of magic radiation.
Oh.
Okay.
Is it pain?
I'm trying to think how to explain that to people.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a room full of
Quickly.
gasoline and magic the mad. Someone.
In a way.
Quickly,
yes.
explain to us chemically exactly what is happening.
Please recite to us
Yeah.
the periodic table.
It requires the exact atom components and compounds.
I would like you to write a book on this.
So, Kobold, how do you
I think
explain
it's up to Alaric as to how
there's
he wants to
weird
communicate
magic
this to us.
stuff going on. Let's not contribute to more weird magic stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
fine.
I totally agree. I have very little control over any magic.
I do have brief question. Does anyone know
I look at the
where we
clerics.
are? Do you want to fight? Because I do not want to. Do not understand.
No, I'm just saying that
You
maybe
would
Not
win,
right
but I do
now.
not like.
put your weapons down until we know exactly where we are and how in the
Anyone?
world we got here.
Familiar
I-
with this house?
I have a feeling I know, but I'm not certain.
Well, it's
But-
better than anyone else here right now, unless anyone has any ideas as to how exactly we got here. Don't get me
tell, but
wrong, I'm
that
glad
wizard-
we're all here together, but I wish I knew how we could get back.
Don't get me wrong, this is the crew I want to go to Ravenloft with. I want to know. No.
Don't get me wrong, I'm glad I wasn't here alone. This is the very next worst thing. That's all.
Just
That's
because it's
Alden's mine
better
anyway.
doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, but it's
No,
it's
that
better
is
than
a good
being
way
here
to
alone.
put it. Because if we are even within the same zip code, is that what the young ones call it? As where I think we are, we need to get out as soon as we can.
Okay, but what is the name?
I drop
Does
down and
anyone,
immediately
I
begin
know-
loudly.
I know Thorabin potentially, and I think maybe 2 or 3 of the rest of you maybe have some kind of sensitivity toward magic. Where are we? Can anyone tell us where we are?
Can I do like a perception check to see if I can gauge who might have an understanding? Because I feel like planes of existence might not be like layman's.
I mean, you can roll an
typical
insight for
knowledge.
that. Hythrall, what were you going to say for that?
This entire time, when she first gets there, she drops down. She drops down and begins praying. When Kripik gives his feedback on what's going on, she begins loudly exclaiming, "Lord Lathander, thank you for this opportunity to challenge me and my abilities and my comrades to do service in the name of light in this darkened place."
Are you saying that out loud?
Yes. She kisses her symbol and holds it up, and she's kneeling down, loudly praying.
Darkened place is a good way to describe it, young one.
Stand up, rifle on shoulder. Where do we go? There's no point in standing here. We've got a bush and a barn.
I rolled a
Doesn't seem like
16,
much.
so anybody who would have this kind of knowledge in their background, I don't know.
Would I?
This is mostly going to be. It seems like the person who might have the best sense of what's happening here may be Thorban, but it is very hard to tell. It's very hard to just suss out who understands the multiverse. Thorban, what were you about to say?
Thorban, like when he comes to and we find ourselves in this place and he hears everybody talking, he is dead quiet. Even when he's looking at someone, it looks like he's looking through people. He's not blinking. If not for him still looking around, he would seem catatonic in the eyes.
Okay.
And he would look to Snow. I recognize that look in your eyes. We need to find shelter. I will set up a tiny hut in the barn. We need to shelter. I don't want to be here any longer. And will slowly make his way to the barn.
Where is here?
We'll explain once we get a little camp going. It'll be like camping. Have you ever had a pillow or blanket fort back with your parents?
It will take me 10 minutes.
I don't know my parents. They've been as a child.
Okay,
so.
It'll be very fun, I promise.
I'm going to surround.
It sounds great.
I think you all can stay here and you can set up the camp. I am going to go as far as I can and come back if I don't know if somebody wants to help with this.
Try to interject.
That's literally what Adara is going to do, is canvas the area.
She's going to take you by the arms. You can do what you want, but she's going to make an attempt to look you both in the eyes.
You're going to touch Alden?
She's very panicked.
Burst into flame.
She's going to take you by the sleeves.
This is my no-no square.
Is this Alden going
I promise you we will get a scope of things, but I think we need to have a little chat before we go. Unless you have explored the multiverse before, I would not recommend going alone. You might get lost forever.
It's better to stay in the barn that took us here.
She's expressing a very serious demur that you have not seen on her before, and her expression is very urging. She's not going to physically force you, but it is a very intense.
When you reach out to touch Alden, he's going to fight it unless you want to do a contested grapple.
No, I would never. She's trying to grab onto your sleeve, please. I'm begging you.
I'm assuming both of our people who are going to survey the area take said warning and then continue to survey the area.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Alden's just gonna pull his arm out and go, "It's going to be fine. Please tell me if you're going to touch me, please." And then he's just gonna like boom and go off and
She's
begin
gonna look
doing
at
what he's doing.
Thorben and go like this. Oh, no, 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 no,
So we
no.
have our two who are out to kind of survey the area in different ways, and I'm assuming they're taking different directions. As the rest of the crew are trying to make their way into the barn and make up some kind of camp. Yes, Hythrall.
So since Alden and I have decided that's what we're going to do, Snow gives her warning. This is literally what I do. Look at Alden. You had to come with me. And shoulder the rifle and smile.
As you guys leave, she's going to like reach out and try to like, she like cuts herself off. Like, but we're not.
As asking Alden, do you want to come with me?
Alden turns to her and says, honestly, I think we may be able to cover more ground if you go that way, and I'm going to go this way, and we come back maybe very soon. But I just want to make sure that there's no creatures or anything, or no tracks. Nothing that will come and disturb us while we're here.
Are you good at tracking?
Getting our bearings.
Are you good at tracking?
I am relatively good at tracking.
Oh, good, because I'm not.
Yeah.
So I'm not. So how about you do the tracking and I do the shooting? And we work together. Let's do a little canvas and come back.
Then I would suggest that you take point. I will be behind you. I'll tell you if I see anything that you don't see.
I appreciate that. And begin walking.
I
feel like that means I'm making perception investigation and she's making other checks.
I was going to say it's going to be perception for both of you. Actually, it's going to be investigation for Alden and then perception.
Okay.
Heard.
So both of you we have a scouting party, and then we have the home party, the camp party, the bush party, who have all kind of entered into the barn. And I assume you are all doing little things to make camp. We'll just kind of round robin to see what everybody.
It's just a ritual casting of Liamon's tiny hut.
Okay,
But
so
that's
you
magic.
make the tiny hut.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So you cast Liamon's tiny hut
as a ritual, so it does take 11
10
minutes.
It takes
11.
10 minutes. It takes 10 minutes, and it also takes a D100 for me if you could roll that.
While
we
he's
are going
eventually
to
casting that,
jump.
I'm like looking after the ones who left, and I am so conflicted as to whether I should go after them or if I should stay. And I'm just, how long is it going to take, darling?
I think Nadine is just trying to do damage point, seeing that there's a lot of anxiety going on. There's a lot of bad non-vibes. It's gonna do her best to try to comfort people and just kind of like, ask Snow before touching, and then just like, where are they?
Alden. Consensual time.
She's gonna smile so warmly. Oh, sweet thing. Oh, I'm so worried. I'm so worried about the others.
They're very capable, and the other one is a guy, which
you don't understand. We're not where we were.
I figured when everything progressed, and I lost touch with the one thing that's saying the ground. So I do figure that setting.
You lost touch with your god? You're a holy woman, are you not?
Disciple of Ilmar. And I'm gonna say too, as she kind of shows you her wrappings, you realize one, I didn't get to, but they're soaked in blood and stitched into her. Like the wrappings are stitched. The flesh.
I don't think I'm familiar with your god. What is their domain?
This is not the standard practice. No, I follow Ilmar. He is about taking on the burden for others that they can live happily.
You're cutting out a lot.
Very. Because of the god. Hey, it's Ilmater. And he's like, hey,
it's
guys.
This weird
the connection is
very
real
strange.
Ilmater is just peeking through and just being like,
really interested
your bandwidth is really fucking lacking.
Right?
Let me.
Is it better now?
I think it's every time you
yeah.
drop your voice to finish a sentence.
It's a noise
You
gate
can
thing.
turn
So
your
when you
Discord
speak
gate
quietly,
down.
your mic cuts out.
Okay.
Right.
Here we go. Hello. So, what is up? My name is
So
Natalia.
talk with
a little
your
bit too close.
chest.
You can back up off
My
your mic
chest.
just a little bit.
That way
Okay,
it
there we
doesn't
go.
cut out because your
Hello.
mic is going to try to cut out if it thinks you're too quiet.
Maisie, in the immortal words of my father, say it with your chest.
My
Say it with
character
your
is
chest.
all about trying to not exist and just she's like, my one
Same.
goal is to disappear,
If you turn off the gate in Discord, you can talk quieter. But
Okay, we can do that at a different time. I'm trying to have good character building, and Discord is like, fuck you. And I'm like,
Well,
that's
if
fair.
it helps at all, you're like all of that. I got all of that. What
I
you
think
just
I
said.
just need to stand in front of the damn microphone. But
With that, we are going to be jumping now quickly.
Basically, my god is the god of martyrs.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. I wanted to hear what God it was.
Self-sacrifice, help
Fantastic.
other people at your own expense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We are going to be jumping to our scouting team. What did
Brilliant.
both of you roll?
Okay.
I got 16.
I rolled very low. I rolled a 3, but I would like a chance to have a story beat again. 1 second.
Of course, Alden.
Okay.
Give them free-
Alden turns to Adara when he's squinting and he can't see anything over the savannah. It's all just like convection currents and everything feels wavy and he can't really see anything. So he looks to Adara and he says, "Listen, to be completely honest, my eyes here are not very good. There's something I would like to try to do, but I need your help. And
Just ask.
What can I do? It is going to hurt. Normally, I would lie and say that this kind of thing is going to be painless. This is not like that. I need to borrow some of your life force.
I'm sorry, come again?
I need to borrow some of your life, a very, very tiny bit, for a moment, and I can heal you afterwards. But for that
Say no more.
one moment,
Say no more. My god Lathander has placed us here together, and I can feel the light coming off of you. The Lord has blessed me with plenty of life for this reason. By all means, take what you need. Get the job done.
Alden takes his right glove off. And Adara, where at this point we've scouted a little bit, we're kind of far from everyone. You can see that his right hand is like rotted.
That's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
Sorry.
I get that a lot.
Also, Adara, what did you roll by
16.
16. Okay, so you are about to borrow some life force, casually, as you do. And both of you are kind of having this little moment as you're still kind of surveying the area. Alden, you kind of, while you're in the most awkward and kind of vulnerable you've been in a very long time, you kind of look back for the briefest moment because you're still trying to get your bearings about the surrounding area. And I shit you not, a man who has snuck up right behind you, about 3 feet away, looming. We are talking about a man who looks like a desert wild freak. One with a big, bushy white beard, long hair, an eye patch, with a flowing and very dramatic kind of cloak over his right shoulder, with a mask attached, guard up on his side, and an axe. This man is large at a whopping 6'2" and very, very strong looking. As he's kind of just watching you two have this little back and forth, and that he completely snuck up on all of the two of you without any trouble. Now, you can actually see what this character looks like up on screen right now for the audience at home. And of course, you're going to look down. And if you look down into the Discord chat, you can see it pretty open. If you need help...
All right,
with
I got
seeing
it. The Big
the
Lebowski
curve.
sneaks up behind us. Got it.
Yes! Scary Big Lebowski sneaks up behind.
I think even if Alden saw that, it would just make him snap to grab Adara's hand faster.
So,
though he would probably take his other hand and like and with the glove on it and just grab her to make sure that she's still safe. Adara, you're essentially letting me make an attack check on you.
So hold on 1 second.
1 second, yes. Adara, what were you saying?
Alden sees the guy standing there, or with the 16, I saw him there.
You did not see him there.
Okay.
He, however, when you whirl around to actually look at Alden with his hand out, you then see this presence looming right behind him. But on your initial perception check, you did not catch this man.
Wanting to make sure I was keeping up with...
You're good. He has made his presence known now, however. He is clearly out in the open and right behind your party member who is trying to make this attack grab on you. So, which are you allowing to happen?
A copacetic attack grab. All right,
So what she does,
important.
She holds her arm out and she says, 1 second, love. One-armed, can I help you? To the gentleman behind while still holding out her arm.
He kind of, this very bearded kind of, you're very new. You're very, very new. You shouldn't be out here. You'll die.
Oh, God. Alden turns to him and says, yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we are very new here. We were actually just transported from another plane. It's my pleasure to meet you. My name is Dalen. And he sticks his hand out. Like for a handshake.
Very good to meet you as well. And you see this man... very unceremoniously, as you pull your hand out to shake his hand, turns and goes, where's the rest of you?
So he does not shake my hand?
Not at all.
Do you say he has a mask on him?
He has a mask on his person, over his chest. Essentially not on his face, but one hanging off right about here. It is a white mask, which a very plain expression kind of adorns it. It's not, it also has a little teardrop, so it's a little bit trash.
Does it match the descriptions of the individual we were hunting?
No, it does not.
Okay.
We've only just arrived here by some kind of magical means that we're not really completely fully familiar with. So the rest of our party is actually relatively far away. We've ventured apart from them to make sure that we had bearings.
Alden, stop talking, love.
He kind of looks over and he goes, and he points with his axe in the direction of the barn, right, which is still quite a bit away over the horizon. You guys have been walking for closing in on that 10 minutes. Trying to surveil the area. He points out with his axe and he goes, you can feel the person, someone is casting a spell in that direction. It will go badly.
Alden, can you run back and tell them?
Yeah, easily enough. Are you going to be okay here by yourself for a moment?
I'll find my way back.
Okay. Alden's going to use his movement, bonus action, and action to dash, and move.
Yes.
So he's just going to through the sand and dirt and whatever.
You see the man kind of looking around, and he looks back over to our lovely gunman and kind of points at what's been thrown over your shoulder. What is that you carry?
Oh, this. This is Grace.
Oh.
Love that.
Grace is dangerous?
She's a lesson. Which lessons can be dangerous?
There are many lessons out here. But if you have a party and a group, I'd be more than willing to help you.
Who are you?
I am Havoc.
That's an ominous name. What brings you out here, Havoc?
Unfortunately, duty brings me out here, and unfortunately, still, I need to return to that duty. I was currently looking for food and found you. You are not food, as far as I can tell.
That was my next question. Thank you for answering. I appreciate that. Transparency is important.
Well, in any case, we better get back before your friends explode. Or turn inside out, or turn into raccoons, or have their skulls explode again. There's a lot of exploding out here. They could also turn into worms. Also seen people explode into maggots. The explosion is most of it. They could turn into puppets. That is honestly the scariest one. Have you ever seen a person turn into a puppet?
The thunder be with you, and I start running.
He does not run. There is no rush to him. These are people dumb enough to make a mistake. You get the sense that Havoc has been at this so long, and he has been living here for such a long time that he's like, oh, they're just being dumb, I guess. Someone needs help. Alden, you run in as Thorban is still about a minute away from finishing up said ritual. You book it, running right into the middle of the party.
God. Yeah, Alden arrives and he's running Alden's movement speed is 45 feet. So when he's like double dashing, he arrives like and all of the sand and everything behind him just goes and blows past him for a second. And he goes, everyone, I think Adora might be in trouble. I think she may need help. We found someone from this world. I don't think we're in, I really want to say I don't feel like we're in Kansas anymore. But that's not what he says.
No, is so relieved to see you run back, but is mortified to see Adara not with you. And she's actually just going to not say anything and bolt in the direction that you came.
Yeah, I think Alden would say he would just like you just appear there, sand blasting and everything, and he would say, I think Adara needs our help.
I run. I just run.
When you come
can follow my
into
tracks back to where she's at.
When you come into the barn, Thorben's ritual, he's sitting with his legs crossed. He has the book opened in front of him. The quill is writing itself. His eyes are closed as he's making hand gestures. And there are letters from different alphabets circling around him. When you say Adara needs help, he opens his eyes, stopping the ritual, gets up and turns to Nadine and Crypt. Are we going? This can wait.
Nadine wipes the sand off of her face and just I mean, the snow took off this place so uncomfortable, like everywhere. Whole body experience pleasantness. So I see. I was going to follow the snow lady that does scare me. The snow lady, the gun.
In that case, as all of you see, and kind of jogging up behind is the last of your party who has rejoined the group, and kind of following back, is making their way slowly, casually, is this large, jacked, bearded old man. As you are able to stop the ritual and basically leave the barn and meet within the desert. With the party now collected, the old man kind of makes his approach up to you, the barn, the bush, the barn. And he kind of, as he approaches, kind of is using the axe a little bit to help stabilize himself. Ah, good. I'm happy to hear that the ritual has stopped. Fantastic.
Is this the danger we were talking about, Alden?
Oben, are you all right? Oh, you don't look like a raccoon, and you don't look like maggots, and you haven't exploded.
Snow had run up to Adara and is like,
Yeah, that's right. I just happen to look like shit. This is my default setting.
What are you referring to? I'm sorry. I feel like we shouldn't gloss this over. What about exploding maggots?
Apparently it happens frequently here. Not exploding maggots, just exploding.
How?
Magic.
Like the ritual I was just doing?
Yes?
Cryptic grumbles to himself.
So this guy is now in our camp, correct?
This is Havoc.
He is
Alden
entering,
is going to reach out for another handshake and say, listen, I am sorry, but to be completely honest, we have only just arrived here. My name is not Dalen. That is my son's name. My name is Alden.
Okay.
It is
Snow,
my
what would be
pleasure to
that
meet your
check?
acquaintance, and I would like to shake your hand. And he reaches his hand out again.
He kind of looks down at it and he goes, if you're not careful, you'll lose that hand. Put it away.
It wouldn't be the first thing I've lost. That meant a lot to me. But thank you. I appreciate the warning. He's gonna put the hand in. He's gonna put the hand in his pocket. He's gonna put it away.
Snow.
Glove on the hand, by the way. If that's there for any of the nerds that are wondering whether or not Alden has his gloves on.
Gloves are on. Absolutely.
Gloves on.
Let them know.
When the gloves come off, that's when. Woo! Anyway.
Snow, the check you wanted to do.
I wanted to see if this Havoc person is a native to this specific shadowy plane, or if he is also a traveler or wayward soul like ourselves. I feel like I would be able to sense that if maybe.
That would be an insight check.
Okay. I got a 9. I got a nat 1, but it was a 9.
Okay, yeah, it's very hard to tell given how odd this locale is and how odd the man in front of you is. As he makes your approach to all of you, he's going to basically kind of relax his body and just sit down at all of you as though none of you are threats to him, crisscross applesauce, as he just kind of leans back a little bit and he looks up. The first rule of Haslan is making sure that you don't do stupid magic. Use your magic well and you might not die.
What kind of clothes is he wearing? Is he wearing anything tattered?
It's all tattered. The robe across his shoulders is tattered. The pants, the cloth pants that he is wearing that seem to be quite loose and a bit skin tight is also rather tattered. This man is desert worn. Yes, Nadine.
I was gonna say, can Nadine make a basic insight check to see if this person is like trustworthy, or if he's like hiding a secret of like, hello, I am actually like Cthulhu party.
Right.
Like,
you can make that
money?
insight.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can make that insight check.
Actually, the desert is full of bodies.
I know nothing. I rolled a nat 1, so she asked him immediately. She's like, "Oh, it's Ilmata. He's come for me.
Yeah.
Hello, Ilmata.
No,
I missed you."
You have a difficulty trying to get a read on him. However, he kind of looks up at all of you and he goes, "So, how did you arrive?"
He said first rule of Aslan.
Haslan.
Alden just looks at Thorben.
Land.
For that, he's just staring Thorben down to explain what the fuck happened. Because he was the one that surrounded everyone with the wind.
A mist took us.
I shudder.
That is
there
all
was
we know.
also a clock filled with body parts. I don't know if that was part of it, but it was still disturbing.
Clock.
There's a clock. There was a clock. I don't know. I haven't looked at the barn. So it's a corpse clock.
I am going to need to know everything about this clock. What were you doing?
It was a clock and it had body parts.
Oh, there were 12 numbers.
Did you see the body parts in it?
Oh, did we? Or no, that was you.
I don't think that
It was only Adara.
Oh, yeah. There was a clock and it had bad
Although we were
vibes
hanging
and
out
that
in the barn for 10 minutes.
Yeah, was the clock
There was a clock and it had 12
The
numbers.
clock is still there, and the clock does have obvious gore inside said
Okay,
clock.
so
you
I
could have
could
seen
say.
it.
Okay,
Yes.
so there is a clock that seems to have body parts, and trust me, cannot heal it. He dead. Whoever was in there. There is with parts that are not typically clock parts.
He's going to get up and go inside the barn, kind of again, just
come on
focused
in,
on
then.
whatever.
Welcome.
And just completely against, walks right past the party, right through the barn doors, looks at it, examines it, sniffs it, and then kind of looks back to the rest of the party. I'm going to need to know, can you hunt?
I can.
I think.
Did you
hunt
say,
is
can we
a
hunt?
Strong word.
I'm going to need to know if you can hunt.
What do you want us to hunt?
Yes,
Well,
I can.
hopefully dinner tonight, but first we are going to have to go back to my location. And then he kind of, when he's moving stuff around, oh wow, I'm falling into fucking my location. No, gruff,
Do it.
gruff Mike.
Fall all the way in. All in, bro.
I do that all the time. Mirror other people.
It's this trading thing of character voices. But he kind of looks up and he goes, before we hunt, you are going to have to stay with me for the time being, as I'm very curious about how you got here, and I'm very curious about how this clock came to your possession. Before we can explain that, though, we are going to have to move, as the worms will be upon us very soon.
Worms. Well,
You're making a lot of demands and providing very little information.
they provided information on worms.
Is that what Cryptic
While we're
says?
on,
Yeah.
while we're
I need
on
an
the move,
explanation.
can you explain to me what you mean by, like, he's gonna ask as they're going. Explain to me what you mean by casting spells well.
He kind of, as you guys are kind of walking out and leaving, because he's very one track. Can you hunt? Yes. And he's just, again, it's on to the next thing with this guy. He doesn't kind of dawdle. You get the sense that he is the lifestyle that he's developed into has been very do this as quick as you can to survive, do this as quick as you can to make it. He is not one to just sit about and wonder. So as he's kind of going forward and you're asking about spells well, and he goes, Asland is a world that's been ruined by magic and ruined by mages. I don't know how to properly cast their spells, but I can certainly say that if you do it improperly, you will surely die. And as he's walking, he looks back and he goes, and if you really wish to know, the worms are what dominate outside in the waste. They are large and strange, once formed people that have been corrupted again by the spells in which the wizards run. So, I am going to need to know again if you can hunt, because eventually we're going to have to eat them.
I can hunt.
Alden pulls his face mask up and his goggles down. And he tells him basically, like, yeah, I can, whatever it is that you point me in the direction of, I can do my best to make sure that we come home with food.
Going to turn to the party. I don't know if it's wise to eat the meat of this plane, and then she's going to cast Goodberry and pluck a holly off of her antlers. It's not the tastiest and most satisfying of meals, but it will keep you fed for a whole day and give you all the nourishment you need.
Oh no.
Did you say that the worms were spellcasters?
Before we get to the worms or spellcasters, and he starts to go, the worms will, and then he looks over to see you cast Goodberry and pluck it. I'm going to need you to please roll a D100 for me.
Oh, is this wild magic nonsense? Oh my god.
Find your dad. Hey guys.
I love
Ilmater, gonna see you soon, my guy.
See you in hell.
You actually cast Fireball on the party.
God damn.
You turn us into frogs.
49.
Okay. So you kind of, once you cast it, you have this very, like, you're like, I thought, okay.
It was such a natural reaction to being hungry.
Right, yeah, and you're just like, oh, yeah, food, and it casts, and you do have Goodberry in front of you. However, you then kind of look down at your side, and there's this very strange-looking animal that seems to have, as far as everyone could see, seems to have manifested from the dust and dirt of the actual desert. One that is kind of perched next to you. As far as you can tell, it looks like a purple little domestic cat. One with very long lynx-like ears and very deep yellow eyes with a strange third eye in the middle of its head. It kind of looks over to you, and as soon as Havoc sees it, he goes, "Ah!" And he just kind of storms just in the most, this is so annoying. And he moves forward as you guys all are walking. The cat kind of looks up as you and as Snow, as you are perplexed by it, and Snow goes, and the cat kind of looks at you going, "There was a cliff. Fell. There's a mountaintop that you were crushed under. When you were 8, you could have died by a fox attack. And when you were 10, I do believe there was an orc nearby that could have slew you." As you're walking, Snow, all this cat does is just tell you different ways that you should have died. And just Havoc is putting his hands over his ears.
Can I
Can
just say, every time he
It's a
says
literal
the way
doom
that I
kitty.
should have died, I'm going to actually shake my head and agree and be like, "You're not wrong, little cat. I really should have died then."
And as you guys are walking, you then see another cat starts walking behind Alden. "You know, there's a lot of ways that you should have gone." And starts listing
Yeah,
off
I know.
again.
It's
Thorben,
almost as if
as
I've
you're
died
kind of
already.
moving forward, there's this little cat that perches on your shoulder, a smaller one like a kitten that goes, "Really? Yesterday, there could have been 100 ways you died on the road and you didn't. I
Wait,
can't believe you didn't."
Whose shoulder
And
was this?
That was on Thorben.
Okay.
Dean,
Oh, okay.
you have a fat Garfield cat kind of
Yes.
walk up in between your legs, looks
My
up and
boy.
goes, "Yeah, no, I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of here to list. We're going to try to get through all of them. You, first of all,
Honestly.
when you were born,
Oh yeah.
and
She's
then
just gonna look at him and be like, "I like your style. Can I keep
And
you, please?"
this happens to all of the party members. There is a cat that is now following you, explaining how you die. Funnily enough, this is actually from D&D lore. It's weird.
Nadine has
But
picked
he-
up the cat and is cradling him, stroking him, and being like,
So-
"Oh yes, go on, please."
Fun fact, when any of you try to stop the cats or pick up the cats, it seems that their bodies are like the mist itself. And
God
you
damn it.
cannot actually pick up and hold them.
So-
Funnily enough, Thorben, the one on your shoulder seems to also disappear and reappear on your head, disappear and reappear on your arm, on your back. These cats can roam freely in a
They
Cheshire
bullshit.
world and just constantly bother you, and
Does-
they do not stop talking.
Does
Like
Snow
me.
realize that this is the result of the spell? Like, does she feel that?
Yes.
She's
Yes.
gonna be mortified, and she's like, "All right, I have 10 berries. Let's enjoy them while they last, but I don't think we're going to be getting any more."
Now, you also, as you guys are looking ahead, you see this little mist cat going, and then you should have, and you see Havoc swing down with his axe, repeatedly swiping at these things. He seems to find them just as an annoyance and hate them. As you guys are moving along, you get to see more of the landscape of this world. Large canyons, craters in the middle of the actual desert, and what looks to be, as you get further and further into this larger valley, a Death Valley scenario. There are a multitude of craters and what looks to be comets and rocks that have landed and made an impact into the earth. And mind you, while you're working through this comet, working through this valley, there starts to be a new annoyance. How you could die in the future. Well, let me tell you. And there seems to be, as you're moving forward, well, one of these comets could have hit you in the head and you would have been dead like that. And it just continues on and on as you trudge through this valley. Eventually, after what feels like a good hour of this, marching and hearing how you die, only to march again. And by the way, if it gets under your skin or bothers you, you notice that the cats kind of enjoy it more. For instance, it seems like the one who's bothering Havoc right now is losing their shit for how much fun it is, which is desperately annoying. Eventually, though, like the mist itself, these cats fade away, and Havoc falls to his knees, and he looks back and he goes, "No magic! No magic!"
Snow pulls out a berry. Well, do you want one? We've got them anyway.
Yes, I do. And he
They taste very good.
I offer you a good berry in these trying times.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be the new form of apology? Is have a berry.
Have a berry.
Not here.
No more berries.
Whole day. They are very, very satisfying.
And with that, I'm going to need everybody to please roll perception.
Right. What shall I perceive?
So glad that perception is my anti-dump stat.
I would like to point this out briefly. There was so many different ways that could have gone bad, and that was like one of the weirdest lore bits from Ravenloft ever.
That.
Was casting fireball on my body one of the options?
Huh?
It's always an option, Snow.
Was that an
It's
option?
always an option.
Fireball?
Fireball is always an option.
I don't know why. I literally just spaced it. I was just like, good berry.
But it was so good.
They come out
in character.
It added to the story.
It added.
Yes.
It felt so natural. I got an 11, by the way.
It's what your character would do. And here's the thing. Sometimes when it's as simple as a cantrip, you will forget the fact that this place is not really fun for spellcasters. And with that, I am going to just go and roll. Alden, what did you roll?
10. Solid 10.
10. Thorben, what did you roll?
19.
No, what did you roll?
28.
Adara, what did you roll? I don't know why I like yelling.
I rolled an 11 again.
11, okay. How about Cryptok?
6.
6, and Nadine.
11.
11. So all of you are having a lot of information thrown at you at once from this place. This valley, which seems to have craters, which frankly you never come across. And they're hard to climb in and out of. And you see essentially a night sky with a consistent shooting star rate. One after another, with again that moon that is split in half. And as you are moving forward, you eventually get to the rocky cliffside of one of the canyons. As you make your approach, you see Havoc essentially put his axe by essentially the cavern's, not a doorway, but opening. And he puts it off to the side, and then you see him basically chanting quietly to himself as he moves his hands up and down, and you see what looks to be little runes within the actual cave face, kind of on the wall, kind of glow, and then he steps past, which all of you notice seems like magic. Seems like magic. And with that, all of you are kind of a little bit suspicious. But Havoc,
with that we're suspicious. Okay.
Havoc kind of, as soon as that glowing is done, all of you notice Havoc kind of yell into the cavern and goes, "I finally brought guest," as he kind of makes his way in. From inside the cave, There is wonderful, fantastic. I am so happy to hear about that. Fantastic, wonderful. And there seems to be something really buzzing about a person inside, and Havoc looks exhausted. He takes off the cloak. He's got a little kind of rock hanger that he puts it up. Hard day of work as he enters into his home. Now, all of you are on the outside looking in. Havoc has walked into the darkness, and it doesn't seem like there's any light source in there as far as you can tell. And not to mention, the magic that he just cast was cast or possibly used without any possibility of issue. There didn't seem to be any problems with what he just cast, and you want to know why. This mysterious man has many secrets. What do you do? Do you follow him in? What is next for you?
Before
Now,
everyone
mind
was in.
you-
Sorry.
Oh, I do also want to make one mention too. I should point out, for those of you who rolled above a 12, did anybody do that? All right. Okay.
Failure, Dara.
For the-
I fail you.
For those two, you guys are both able kind of to look out kind of behind you. And far, far and away, you are at this one crater after walking so long to this kind of, again, this rock face with the cave in it. And you are basically able to look over the other way through the darkness, over the horizon, and you are able to see far, far out in the distance what looks to be a couple of people just kind of moseying by, walking very casually through the desert, but you cannot make them out but figures. It seems to be 6 of them. They don't seem to be approaching you. But far, far out in the other direction, there does seem to be people about. So, do you all enter? Do you not? Snow, what did you have to say first?
If people are going to enter, she's going to quickly turn around and face the group, and under her breath so that Havoc cannot hear us. Be very wary about accepting gifts or hospitality from strangers in planes like this. Do not say thank you. Do not take food if offered. Do not give them anything. Do not give your name. Do not give your intention. Your words are important. Mind them, or they can have power over you that you will regret. And then she's going to face forward and step in.
How about the rest of you?
Nadine is going to weigh the options between worm and unwanted social interaction and decide that the unwanted social interaction is gonna pop having to deal with worm. So she's gonna go in following the scary snow and just following kind of close behind. Every fuck.
Hey. And how about you, Micah Bold?
In we go. I mean, I'm not about to just go wander out into the wilderness by myself and assume I know the answer when wizards are involved.
Yes. And the rest of you?
I'm going to wait outside for everybody else to go in, kind of taking point, just to make sure nothing follows in behind. And then I go in.
Alden
Or
follows
them?
in behind Kripyik. But like kind of with a gloved hand over his shoulder, like, yeah, this'll be fine. But Kripyik is in front of him. Oh.
Yeah.
Thorben, how about you? Yeah.
Thorben is going to quietly follow with the rest.
Okay. Once entering into the actual cavernous area, you guys are kind of walking through a dark tunnel. One that, again, is uncomfortable given the fact that eventually you hit a darkness that is very hard to see the nose in front of your face. Luckily, most of you, if not all of you, I believe, have dark vision. So, luckily, it's pretty good, actually. But you are still able to make it through kind of a winding cave in the dark. And eventually, following Havoc's footsteps, reach a faint lantern light that kind of occupies part of a room. Entering in, you see what looks to be a very makeshift bed, as well as a bookcase. And it seems like a lot of kind of busy work going on towards the back of the cave. It's a little home. There is also, towards the back of the cave, a table, and somebody currently working on setting said table. Havoc, as you all begin to enter, tries to treat you as a bit of a guest, as he tries to, like, very uncomfortably kind of walk around offering refreshments, or as you guys could clearly put it, a mug with some weird reddish liquid in there, and when you smell it is clearly the blood of something, as he kind of hands it to the rest of you, and I don't think any of you take it.
Snow absolutely does not take it.
Right. He doesn't, when you don't take it, by the way, he just kind of turns to the next person in a very, like, you can tell hosting is not in his vocabulary. However, as all of you kind of enter into the room, Havoc kind of leans his hand forward and points, and he goes, "Now, this is the one that I'm duty bound." And he kind of rolls his eyes as he presents this person who emerges out of the shadows, a very well-to-do gentleman, of a wizardy kind of looking robe and a book in their hand, with a lovely widow's peak and noticeably a very strange mark upon his neck. 3 interesting dots seem to work as some form of birthmark, and a very faint but clearly cold skin condition, as they almost look purplish from the actual whatever it is they must suffer from. You're not sure where they hail from. They step forward and immediately put out a hand to greet all of you with a smiley, toothy grin showing very, very distinct and very strange long canine. "Hello, hi. My name is Professor Strahd von Zarevich. I've been here with Havoc for quite a bit, and we would love to have you for dinner."
Sorry.
So it's like, we do not want to be dinner of anyone.
Oh, absolutely not. No, we've been waiting for guests forever, and I haven't been time. So if you could please just sit down, and I would love to hear where you came from. Isn't that right, Havoc? Is that why we're here? And Havoc kind of looks up and over, and he goes, "Yes." And he's like, "Wonderful, fantastic," and kind of whisk you off to a very plain-looking table before you can kind of get a word in edgewise. For those of you in the chat, you may see the art of our lovely Professor Strahd, and for those of you here, we will be able to send that your way as well. Now, I am going to say, as you all sit down getting ready for dinner, with a very interesting 2 odd couple in a very strange land, Strahd leans forward, kind of looking at all of you. "Well, where do we begin?" And with that, we are going to end for tonight, and I will see you all.
I had no idea Strahd was a fucking nerd.
God's just inviting us to dinner.
Is Strahd gonna appear as like a NPC in every domain of Drill?
Guys, this is the AU we need. Not the one we want, but it's the AU we need.
Who says this is actual Strahd and not someone like usurping his name or something?
Well, it's like that.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that.
All I know is Snow.
We have no answers, only
and
questions.
If anybody accepts their food, she's going to be glaring at you like you're stupid.
Everybody put in Nerd Von Zarevich in the chat now.
She just has her berries.
Thank you all for coming to our first session. Thank you all for supporting us. Thank you to Eldritch Foundry and C2 Gaming for sponsoring us. And thank all of you for playing. I hope you had a wonderful time. And especially, most importantly, I hope you all have a happy Pride. Next time on the Dark Dominion, we hopefully will start to get some of the answers for all these nagging questions, as a strange Scooby-Doo party known as the Bush League have gone into a strange, terrible, unforgiving magical land and have met essentially a wandering magic Viking who is currently rooming with, in a cave,
Desert
a
Daddy.
person claiming to be Strahd von Zarevich. Or
I ship
Professor
it.
Strahd
In history,
von
we'll call them
Zarevich.
roommates.
Only
They were the
rumors.
best of friends
They were
and
the best
nothing
of friends.
else.
They were two
Happy
great
Pride.
friends.
And the
Happy
dead
Pride.
friends.
Our next session is going to be 2 weeks from now, by the way, on June 18th, and I will see you all there.
Thank you, DM.
Bye.
Thank you, Brill.
Thank
You're
you so much,
amazing.
Brill.
Thank you all for coming
Thank
in.
you.
Mwah.
You're all amazing.
Mwah.